Hey, Suzanne, shalom. What do you know? Shalom, Nick. Shalom, Shelby. So, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Anybody that wants to come up is more than welcome. We're just going to, hey, shalom, Design Gold. We're just going to talk about what love is to each other. And we can go over some scriptures about what love is, but I think with the times we're in and what I see with going on around the world, on here even, just in normal relationships between people, I have seen a lot of anger and hate and not love. So I've been an angry person my entire life, like up until, well, probably 2.5 years ago it started getting better, but really I haven't even focused on my anger specifically until about a month ago. And it's something that I would justify in a way that I would say maybe that's like, oh well, even though I'm being angry or I might be stern or whatever, it's out of love, or like I'm right, so it doesn't really matter if I'm stern about it or how I address it or how I treat the other person because I'm right. So that's one thing that let's see. I'm just gonna share this with a couple people. But if anybody wants to come up and chat or talk, or if anyone's got something to say in the comments, go ahead and mention it and we'll talk about it. Sorry, I'm just inviting some people in. It just opened up, so. All right. Shalom, Candace. Aren't we supposed to also love our enemies? So, let's talk about that. Let me look up some verses on what that says so we can get some context. All right. We've got a few a few verses here that talk about loving our enemies. Hey Nick, shalom.
Shalom. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. I didn't know if my earbuds was decent or not. I have my backup pair in right now.
Right on. Yeah, I can hear you pretty well. There's no background noise or nothing, so that's good.
Okay. Great.
Sometimes.
So of course, the love thing of my first one is 1 John 5:3. I mean that's the easy one though.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to
Um,
read it, or do you want?
no, yeah, I can go to it.
Yeah,
No, I'll go to it right now.
yeah. Go ahead and read it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking up here myself some, but yeah, go ahead and this is going to be pretty open, so I'm not going to
All right.
hog the microphone or anything like that. But how you been doing, brother?
Well,
You had a good day, or?
yeah, I've had trials. I've had some trials today. I fell short, but I've allowed pride to enter and had to repent from that. It sure wasn't intentional, but it did happen. And uh, anyway, praise Almighty Yah that it was, that I do believe that I've been forgiven for that. It was not intentional.
Good, good. And that's the one thing is it's really easy to slip into pride. It is very easy.
Yeah,
That's kind of why I want to do this tonight. Is I was kind of thinking about what the focus should be, and with everything happening, and with how a lot of people that are contending and want to go back and forth and arguing. It's not about even getting the truth across at some points anymore. It's more about being right than and making sure they know you're right than even caring or they caring, or most of the time these people that we're talking to, they're not even going to, like, the chances of them agreeing with us are about 0 to 1%. So at some point we got to just realize that and save our own salvation and not be into it, right?
right. No, I agree. I feel like one of these people, between my comments and Jason from South Africa, this person has made over 200 comments to me and him,
Wow.
and I feel like I've almost broke through to this person, but I mean I could be crazy. I don't know,
Yeah.
but 1 John 5, starting in 2. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that's rent free in my head. So anyway,
That is a
but
good
no,
one.
yeah, well, it's very important.
It
But
is. Probably the most important. I mean,
right,
one of the most important for sure. Because I mean, how many people out there say they love him and believe in him and all this stuff, but they don't show it. They just say it, like 2.4 billion roughly.
right. They use their own definition, their own vain heart, to decide what love means. Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. And that's why we're on here talking about what we're talking about.
Right.
So Candace had brought up Matthew 5:44. I'm gonna go to that.
All right. I'll mute.
Well, anytime you got something else you want to say, you pop right on up, though. We'll just bounce around and do whatever. So, all right. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. All right, that is good right there. That is good. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we're going to go out of our way for them, or that we're going to take from ourselves to give to them? I mean, a lot of people will try and say that, if you're not giving everything you have to your enemy, then you're not truly saved, or you're not being a good person, or whatnot. But how many people out there that think they're good people or claim to be Christians are actually giving up everything they have for other people? If that was the case, there wouldn't be any world hunger, or anything like that, because there's definitely enough out there to meet the needs of the people. So, not a mushy gushy love, but to be set apart and keep the commandments. That is absolutely what love is. Love to our Elohim, love to our Messiah, is following the commandments and doing what he taught us, doing what made him perfect. All right, even if we can't be perfect, we need to strive to be perfect, because he even said that we can go and sin no more. Now, does it mean that we can that we're not going to make mistakes here and there, just as we talked about earlier? Yeah, we probably will. We definitely weren't perfect before, and in order to be perfected, there's going to be some speed bumps or whatnot that we learn from, just like all the things that happened in our lives previously. I mean, sometimes we're stupid and it takes us numerous times for us to learn. But when we got the Messiah helping us, it helps us learn a lot quicker, because we realize how much we are hurting him, and that we're re-crucifying him every time that we don't follow his ways and commit sin. So, serve those who hate us, in testimony to Yah and Scripture, but even physically, at least in my walk. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so
Shalom, brothers.
So there's a lot of people that accept sin because they think it is unloving if they don't. All right, that's the best way that I can word that. They think that it's not loving to speak up and correct somebody. They think that it is not loving if you withhold something. So, that's something we need to think about as well. If we're leading them in the right direction, is that love? Even if it hurts them, even if it makes them cry, and it takes them a while to get through it and understand that they're wrong, is that love? It's kind of the relationship that's happening with us right now as a human race with our Messiah. Like, there isn't one of us that really was doing anything right, okay? And we're all there's a group of us that are trying to now, but there's a lot of us, not a lot of us, but a lot of the world that aren't, that are just continuing to live and not love the Elohim, and think that they're just loved unconditionally. I don't know where this love unconditional ever came from, but he would go and kill towns, 3,000 people at a time, of people that weren't following him and believing in him, and then all of a sudden, people that aren't following his commandments, he's just going to be okay with that. That's mind-blowing to me, but I believed it for a long while, but now it's kind of like, wow, I can't believe I even believed it. I definitely was not showing our Messiah love.
But yeah, no, that's the doctrine the world teaches. It is. It's like, if there's a God, this God is like, he's going to be like this. Like that's the doctrine that this world teaches.
Yep. And if you don't love like this, then you're wrong and you're not saved. I mean, I'm sure you get it too,
Right.
Nick, where you get ridiculed
Oh
by
yeah.
Christians. You know,
Oh yes.
the ones that all you need to do is believe and you're saved. Yet, okay, we still believe, but we're ridiculed because we want to do a little more. I mean, that we want to do what we're commanded. It's just absolute ignorance and asinine.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is, Daniel. I sat in the church pews for 27 years, man, dealing with all the lies and everything. And from day one as a child, when my mom would read us the the scripture where it talks about when the Egyptians left Egypt with the Israelites, and Moses goes up to Yahusha and asks, like, hey, what do I do with these people that came out with us, right? And that was like when I was a kid, I would ask my mom, like, see, now we could be Israel right here. We could be part of Israel. But the church doctrine of my mom would say, no, no, that's Israel. That's the chosen people of God. We're the church.
Mhm.
So that's how it works. And you get indoctrinated from like such a young age, and that indoctrination follows you for years and years and years until Yahweh shows you the truth.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true because it's nobody like actually when I was shown what led me to here and led me to all this truth that I'm at now, I had cut everybody out of my life, like everybody, except for my two boys. And so like, that's a testimony in itself because through all the people that I've talked to in my life and everything, there isn't really anybody that can take credit for my journey. The only person that I can give it to is our Father, is Yahweh, because I was on my own journey by myself and there was nobody there that had my back. I was going through a divorce and everybody just went high and dry. And I had like absolutely no friends, nothing. So like for a year there, I didn't really talk to anybody at all. And so that's a good thing though, because I didn't have man to influence me. I didn't have anybody that could become prideful, and then I had everyone cut out of my life so that if people were going to come back into my life, my vessel was full of goodness so that I knew that I would be able to discern what is good and what's not after that year period or year and a half period. So it's been really easy to discern people from that point ever since the close and relationship that we've had through that journey. So
Yeah, I mean, Daniel, I think majority of us had that time of where we were all by ourselves just with Yahweh and Yahweh guiding us and showing us these truths. I mean, I spent, I don't know, a couple of years just by myself reading scripture. Okay. Yes, my son. My toddler's in my hands right now. And so Yahweh showed me many things that I didn't understand at the time. And just like you mentioned, I went through a very bad divorce, very, very, very problematic. But through that experience, Yahweh showed me what a covenant was. Yahweh showed me through the Torah what a covenant really was and what the ketubah is, and how, what the marriage supper of the Lamb is, and all these things. I didn't kind of put it together in my mind until later, until I'm like, I came to the conclusion, like, man, I'm a Torah observer. But yeah, but then it like all started to come together. I'm like, wow, like he's been teaching me this stuff, even though I didn't know how to put it together and what it was. But it helped. He, through that experience of that loneliness and just being with him and that despair, he brought that and turned it into something good. Like what it's like when it talks about in Egypt, what the brothers of Joseph meant for evil, Yahweh turned it into good, right? And
Hmm.
that's exactly what Yahweh does in our lives. And we are all a testament to that. And praise Yahweh that we had those moments where we walked out in silence and just were led by the Father. Praise Yahweh for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because yeah, it's not us that's doing that. I mean, I was leading myself on a worse path than I ever was in my life. So it definitely wasn't us that was that it's like I don't know when everybody had their turnaround and stuff, but it's really similar stories all the way around. Just some people have been in it a little longer than others, but like 3 years ago, it seems like there was something very significant that happened.
I agree. Yeah,
3 years.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got something on love here. If I'm in Luke chapter 6. Let's see. We can start maybe in verse 24. I mean, it's going to be a lot of verses to get to where we're going. At least to 24 to at least 38, maybe. I don't know, somewhere in there.
Sure, yeah, I'm down for whatever. So I'll just give you the mic. I'll mute myself for a bit.
All right. But woe unto you that are rich, for ye have received your consolation. Woe unto you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe unto you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. And unto him that smite thee on the one cheek, offer also the other cheek, and him that taketh away thy cloak, forbid not to take thy coat also. Give to every man that asketh of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not again. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. For if you love them which love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them. And if you do good to them which do good to you, what thank do you have? For sinners also do even the same. And if you lend to them of whom you hope to receive, what thank do you have? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love ye your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again. And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest. For he is kind unto the unthankful. He is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. But ye therefore merciful, as your Father is also merciful. Judge not that ye shall not be judged. All right, that's where I wanted to go with that. Like that's a hard thing to do. That's a very hard thing to do in this world we're in. Are
Absolutely.
you there?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. It is. That's we fight our flesh. That's a hard thing to do.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the
But
hardest
our
part.
Messiah did that.
Yep, yep, and we have to be willing to give up all the things we love of the flesh in order to refine our flesh. Um,
Right.
I mean, I know that's what I had to do when I came to my story. Is it was willingness to give up everything. I think Crucifix is going through some of that right now. Oh, hey, there you are. I didn't even know he was in here. I was just
Yeah, I
sharing.
Hey,
mean,
Mike.
yeah, I mean, like when you were reading, I just kind of, my mind went to Proverbs 25:21, where it talks about if your enemy is hungry, feed him, and if he's thirsty, give him water. I mean,
Yep.
love thy enemy. It's not a New Testament concept like the church would have you believe. Man, it's amazing when you start reading the
Right.
scripture.
Who
Like
was
how,
that? Was Elijah, or was it? It was Eli. Was good to his enemies.
Here's a good.
I don't know.
I can't
Here's a good
remember
one.
off the top of my head.
If you love those who love you, this is Luke 6:32. What credit is that to you? Even sinners who love those who love them. If you love only those who love you, I don't have the answer, but here it is. Didn't you just read that?
Yeah, that's what I just read. I think I just
Yeah.
read to 34.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really
Yeah.
good one right there. That's the one right there.
But yeah, I just stumbled across that one.
Right. That's a big one, though. That one is very impactful. Like, for if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? You know, what does that matter?
Right. Right. Yeah, it's that's an easy thing to love people that love you. Right. That's not a hard thing. Loving your enemies is a lot deeper spiritual matter.
Yep.
Right.
And what credit will that be to you if you love the people that love, like we all get rewards, we all get blessed. What kind of blessing do you think that'll be if we love those who sin against us? That's something to think about.
That's the story. That's the store your treasures up in heaven. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest love that ever took place was Yahushua on the cross to fix what happened in the garden and golden calf breach. I mean, literally, greatest love ever that can happen, man. Amazing.
Yes, absolutely. When he could have at any moment called, triads of angels to come down and save him. And he decided not to, That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, he says, I can't remember
It could.
exactly, but it says, he will plead with all flesh that no man should perish. It's in, I can't remember, I think maybe Psalms or Ezekiel, I can't remember off the top of my head at this moment, but that's the love he has, man. Even he knows those people that are wicked. Even like in Genesis, he tells Cain, sin lies at the door, rule over it. He tries to even work with Cain, the serpent seed, right there. He even tries to like, hey, walk righteously in front of me. And if you do well, will you not be accepted? That's what he told him in the garden. That's the love and mercy Yahweh has for people in general and for his creation. Even though it's not his creation, serpent seed, but he even tried with him.
That's right.
All right. Hey, I gotta back out for a minute. My earbuds are going dead.
Okay, no problem.
I might try to come back on, but all right.
All right.
I'll see you.
See ya. Thanks for coming up. So
All right.
here's another good one too is, a lot of people say, well, the Messiah died on the cross for the forgiveness of our sins. All right. Well, in a way he did, but a lot of people don't understand what the atonement sacrifice is that he did for us. And that's why he gave up on the stake, is because he was the sacrifice, not that we can continue to do things that are lawless and that it's okay for us to be lawless, but so that we can bring our sacrifice to him. Or bring our sin to him, and he is our sacrifice. It says it right here in John 4:10. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins.
Oh yeah, that's exactly it. Like Candace just wrote, they don't understand the marriage covenant, and that's exactly true. The church does not understand that concept. I mean, my brother finished cemetery school, got a degree in a pastorship and all this stuff, and I debate with him all the time, and all it is opinions just to make their theologies work. And
Yep.
they can't just read scripture like we do and have solid doctrine.
That's right. That's right. Let's see that we have a way back to the Father because we are all headed to hell and called out of it. That's grace. That's absolutely right. Like these people have taken grace and twisted it because they just don't want to do the things that need to be done. But like, and taught us that grace is this blessing that we receive without having to do anything in the covenant. Um,
Yeah, if you study out grace, grace is actually the empowerment to walk out in truth and in righteousness what Torah teaches. That's what grace gives you the power to do, not just to live a lawless life, like in Romans, and I can't remember whether it's Romans or not, but where it says, "Do we make the law void? God forbid, or Yahweh forbid."
right, right.
But in the church, that's exactly it. It's null and void. All the law's been nailed to the cross.
Yeah, I believe you're talking about Romans. Yeah, it's at the end of one of those. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's a lot of those in Romans that are good like that. Like, does it mean this? Heck no, it doesn't mean that. But yeah, that's I was gonna go somewhere else with that, but I lost my train of thought. So, a new commandment I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. So now I'm giving you a new commandment. All right. So how did the Messiah love one another? Well, some people he called vipers, and some people he healed.
That's hilarious. Some people we call vipers. I love that.
So that's something we need to think about too. And he also went in the temple. You know, one of the last things that he did was he went into the temple with that and whipped people. So, you know, that there's a lot of people that'll try to say that, you know, we can be violent because of that and whatever, but that's a lot of desecration of the Father's house. And you know, there's a point when a man or our Father is going to say enough is enough, and that's kind of what's happening right now. When I was reading through Hosea, I believe it was Hosea, maybe it was Second Esdras, is kind of wrapping together because I did both today. But there was a few verses in there that I read of where he's gonna say enough is enough, and that's why what's going to happen is going to happen. So
Yeah, Isaiah 24 really speaks about what he's going to have, what he's going to do with his people because you guys forsook what I told you to do and you're not doing it. And he's talking about the priests and the Levites and everybody, and that's Mystery Babylon right now. Isaiah 24. It's exactly what we're witnessing day in, day out in the churches.
exactly. So going along with loving thy enemy and what we just talked about there, how many times can we love our enemy? I mean, when is enough enough? Like, do we love our enemy until they've taken all that we have and put us in such a pit that we're misering and sorrow and stuff as well, and we have nothing left because they've been stealing from us or supplying their drug habit by selling our things, or you know, is that how we love our enemy? Absolutely not. So some people will get carried away with that verse or that thought process and bring it to another level where some people will actually get hurt, and I don't think that that's supposed to be the way it is, you know. The Messiah he protected what he had, in a way, but he didn't allow people to run over. He stood his ground. He didn't give in. He stood for truth. Just like Candace was saying, he stood for truth. He spoke for truth. That's the best way to put it right there. That's how he showed love. You made it.
All right, I'm back. But on that subject, I did want to say something though. So about a year ago, I felt really convicted to help out a homeless guy, and I'm not going to tell the amount of money I gave the person, but it was not a small amount of money. And as soon as I handed it to him, he started crying. He was in a wheelchair, sleeping out on the streets. Started crying, and within 2 minutes, he asked for my cell phone. I let him use my cell phone, and within 10 minutes, a really nice car with tinted windows pulled up, and he bought drugs with the money I gave him. So like you can't. How can sometimes you? What we think is helping somebody is not helping somebody. Like I felt very guilty about giving this person. You see what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah. But so all right. So we got Crucifix in here making a good point. If your enemy take your cloak, give them your coat also. That's taking everything you have. So, he does make a good point because that verse does say that. But that also says if they're taking, like if your enemy is coming aggressively at you, kind of the same lines as if they strike your cheek, turn your other cheek. So we have to think about that too. When they're showing aggression towards us, that's different than us going out of our way to try and show love to someone that's our enemy. Do you
Right,
get what I'm saying there?
you're right, and I still kind of need advice with that one too, because there is a fine line with that, like striking you and trying to unalive you is two different things, and like the Sabbath was made for man. Our lives are important, and we like to allow someone to unalive us. Like that's not the same as turning the other cheek. And there's some kind of line there that I'm still not fully. I don't know where the line draws between those 2 points, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Or like I'm saying in your situation where you saw the homeless guy and you went out of your way to give him some money and help him out, give him a substantial amount of money where it could make some kind of difference in his life. And then you watched him go and purchase things with it that are not acceptable. So like I said, like he wasn't doing anything to instigate anything into your life, but you went out of your way to love thy enemy. You know what I mean? You didn't know he was your enemy.
Right.
You found out he was your enemy. Because if he wasn't, he would have done something good with that money. But he wasn't coming after you trying to take your cloak, and he wasn't trying to strike your cheek. So, we got to think about it in that aspect too, because I've read in the Apocrypha somewhere that it said, let your alms be sweaty in your palms before you give to someone that is an unbeliever.
Where is that at again?
I cannot remember where it was. It was one of those that I was reading and it stuck in my head, and it wasn't significant at the time, but it stuck in my head. And
we can Google it. We can Google it at some point. Right. Yeah, and find that one.
But it's pretty close to that word for word. Is let your alms get sweaty in your palms before you give to someone that doesn't believe, or something like that. But that is something that's kind of stuck with me, and And it goes along with, making sure you know who your brothers and sisters are,
Right.
So,
And that's took me a while to get there with that one too. It has.
mhm. But if your enemy is attacking you, I most definitely agree with that. In an aspect, we are supposed to be peaceable and peacemakers, and like show them that we are going to be peaceful for sure. Don't try to save treasures here on earth, but preserve your treasures in heaven. Absolutely. That is for sure. Right. Yeah.
Um, I'm in Matthew 10. Um, Seeing something that kind of applies with what we're talking about. I think maybe. Where was I at? Oh my gosh. Uh,
Hold on, while you're
I
figuring that
might
out,
be.
I want to touch on what Crucifix just said, because I just realized something
Go
that
for it.
is really important. So this study started on love, okay, and
Right.
now we're talking about money. And he brought up, don't
Mm.
try to save treasure here on earth, but preserve your treasures in heaven. Now, I'm not saying anything about you, Nick, and I'm not saying anything about me, but look at us as our fleshly things that we're on here trying to talk about love, and now we're talking about money. That's how easily we can get distracted.
No, I get you.
Wow. I didn't even notice that. Wow.
But I mean, that's the like that's the currency of the world. Like it is. That's what we're taught. Is is that's how you show love is money. So I get it. I mean, it's true. It happens. It's easy to happen.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, go ahead, Nick, though. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
No, no,
Thank you,
no, no,
Michael.
no. I think my page flipped or something. I'm not finding what I was seeing.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the Second Corinthians then that Candace has got here. 6:14-15. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Messiah with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? Very good. I mean, that's how the Christian church created 45,000 religions, is because they tried to intercede the Messiah with everything else, and intercede the law and the Torah with everything else, the unrighteous with the righteous. And that's how you get 45,000 denominations. All right, 2 Thessalonians 3:10. We'll go there next. Thank you for that, Candace. That was a good one. For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if, am I in the right verse? That if any would not work, neither should he eat. Is that the right verse? 2 Thessalonians 3:10. I don't know if that talks about money, I think, but what'd you realize, brother? Michael? Let's see that. Feed their souls, and money is not to all evil, literally. Or money is root to all evil, literally. Yes. Yes, it is. I think there's verses in here that say that the money is the root of all evil. Yep. 1 Timothy 6:10. Let's see, we can't serve two masters, and here we all are continuing to try to serve two masters even still. That is very possible, yes. Yep. I was thinking about that earlier today, actually, like, when all this happens and everything goes down, and like how much different things are going to be when there is no internet and there is no like connection, like I was for one thinking about like what if, like TikTok or whatever were going to go down, how would I be able to go out? I'd have to go out to the streets and start talking to people face to face, and there isn't really a lot of people where I live, so I'd have to start traveling or something. And then if things go into heck, like do I want to travel? Like how do you serve the Lord and bring people in when this goes away, or if you're not doing it through this and you live in a small community and stuff like that? Like I've thought about that. Yep. I totally get what you're saying, brother. For my children, they are going to have a tough time if, when all this stuff is gone, like electricity and Wi-Fi and all that stuff. Like it's going to be a shocker for everybody. It's going to be really hard. But the thing is, if we go out in the streets and stuff, people are, I think it's going to be tougher out on the streets than it is here, because it's worse on the streets right now. Like it's going to take too much for people to see what we're trying to say. And until that happens, we're just going to be crazy people standing on the corner, you know? What you got, Nick?
All right. Did you mention 1 Corinthians 16:14?
I don't, I may have, but
And I'm not trying to bring up a sore subject in this group, but we can learn from anybody. But this is one that straight as the gate does have correct, and this is where 16:14, 1 Corinthians 16:14. Let all your things be done with charity. That word charity means agape, which means love. Which they take that to mean usefulness and whatever. Anyway, my point being is that word charity is agape. Anyway, we can learn from anybody, I think, at times.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What verse was that again?
1 Corinthians 16:14.
Okay.
And we also have, the classic one, 1 Corinthians 13:4 through 8. I'm going there now. I had to pull up my computer. I had to pull it up on my computer to be any kind of usefulness here. But and it's still the same word, charity. But that charity means agape. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 13:4. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not believe itself unseemingly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never falleth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fall, whether their tongues be, they shall cease, whether there be knowledge it shall vanish away. It shall vanish away. For we know in part, we prophesy in part. Okay. I think that's deeper than I understand right there. Might need Mike on that one.
Which one were you reading there again? I didn't catch that.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 Corinthians 13:4-8.
Okay, I was right there. I just didn't think I was for a second.
Okay.
4-8.
But yeah, I didn't understand the end of it. 8 and 9.
Okay.
I mean, Paul's hard to understand. I just try to leave. If I don't understand it, I just try to leave Paul alone.
Well, sometimes, yeah, that's the best thing to do is kind of just come back to it and revisit it later, or just sit on it, and it's in the back of your mind, even though you're not thinking about it sometimes. So,
right.
Let me read it from my version once and see if it sounds any different.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
All right, I'm just going to read 8 and 9 because that's kind of the area we're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. Okay, just like there's prophecy about destruction in the end times, well, there isn't going to be much charity in the end times. It's going to fail. So there isn't going to be much in the dry lands where there's no water, there's no word, there's no truth, where we can't share it and bring people to our Father in heaven. Right, ours won't, but the charity of the world will fail. So, but that's because it's prophesied, and that's because the tongues say it will. I think that's what that verse is saying right there.
Okay.
And whether there be knowledge, like we will have knowledge, like just like Crucifix was saying, our knowledge won't, but it shall vanish away. The sun, Messiah, and the moon shall be covered with a cloud and become dark. Right? There we go. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, that was a tricky one. When you read it, I had to stop and hold on, I need to look at that verse.
It was tough. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that helped a lot for you to read it back. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to hear it than to read it. Sometimes I notice when I'm reading, I catch myself just kind of wandering, or you just can't process it properly.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, I do better to hear it and read along.
Yep. That's the way I like to do it. Like those things on YouTube where they have, I know that sometimes the voice gets really monotone and puts me to sleep, but when they have the words and the voice going, I like to sit and just watch that, and that helps a lot. Oh, I learned something new tonight that I didn't catch. Let's hear it, brother. We're thirsty. We're hungry.
Well, I'm trying to look up some other stuff on love.
I'm talking about Crucifix. He's talking in the chat.
No, I'm out of ideas here for real.
No pressure on you. I don't know what time is it there where you're at?
I think you can handle it. I don't know. I felt like hopping on. I hadn't ever spoke to.
Yeah, we haven't ever gotten. I've watched your videos and stuff, but I don't think we've ever talked, have we? I'm looking it up right now, Crucifix. What time is it at where you're at, Nick? Oh, he must not be there. All right, Luke 21. All right. Luke 21, when he says when the enemies surround Jerusalem, those in the field don't go. All right. And he looked up. I'm just going to read the chapter of 21 here. And he looked up and saw the rich man casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in thither 2 mites. And he said, Of a truth I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast in more than they all. For all these have of their abundance cast in unto the offerings of Elohim. But she of her penury hath cast in all the living that she had. And as some spake of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, As for these things which ye behold, the days will come in the which where there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, saying, Yep. You know, that's I can relate with that. I'm living a life of giving up everything right now. I mean, I got a 2001 vehicle, and I don't really have much. All I worry about is making enough money to survive. So that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Been trying real hard to get ahead, and every time I get ahead, something happens where it just like takes everything that I had. So totally relate. Yeah, that's a blessing from the Father he has given me. I understand it's a blessing. Yep, and he will rebuild us. That's the beautiful part, is he will rebuild us. As for these things which ye behold, the days will come in which there shall not be left a stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then said he unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines, and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from afar. Yep. Wow. That's deep, brother. That's really deep. Wow. All right. Yeah. I honestly can't even think about it, brother, because yeah, it makes me want to cry right now. I feel your pain, brother, and wow. I don't even know what to say right now for you. Yeah, wow. He will do it. He all for his purpose, right? That's exactly. All right, good. I'm glad you are because I'm not. I'm not at a perfect place of peace for you. So I'm sure glad that you are, brother, but I guess that's a heart we're supposed to have, right? I mean, yeah, absolutely. All right. Then said, and great earthquakes. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And ye shall be betrayed by both parents and brethren, and kinsfolk and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there shall not an hair of your head perish. In your patience possess ye your souls. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. Yep, I didn't even have to see your comment. I knew what you were talking about right when I read it. 21:21. Matthew 21:21. Yeah, where is well, it's us. We are Jerusalem right now. But in Africa. Right. Yep. Yep. Let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let them not that are in the countries enter thereinto. Yeah, so okay. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Yep. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was thinking that, we have to wait because it's got to become, I mean, we got to wait for basically the whole area to become, the whole world to become kind of desolate where nobody can claim land and stuff like that. Like, there's just going to be not a lot of people to do it, so it kind of makes sense. We gotta wait for the destruction in order. It's not good. It's going to be like the beginning when we replenish the earth, right at Genesis. It's going to be just like Genesis, starting over again. And then there'll be a new book wrote for the next story. But that'll be the end of this book. Hmm. Very, very interesting. I hope it's all. Yep. Ezekiel 38 through, I was starting to read that. I didn't really get into it yet, but Ezekiel 40 was where I was going to start. I'll start at 38 though, probably. I got it marked at 32 for some reason. I don't know what I was doing in 32. I think you just blew my mind though, where I'm gonna have to I think I'm gonna have to process now. we're all just sitting here hi Kelly, you came in a little late. we're all just mind blown right now. Oh boy. Yeah, that's when the new covenant will come into effect is when, judgment day and New Jerusalem comes and there'll be no more pain and all that, right after the 1,000 millennial reign. Um yeah, it's good. Well, yeah. I think my brain just broke now. So not that it's a bad thing, but I can't think anymore. So all I want to do is read and look. But if anybody wants does anyone have anything they want to talk about? Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go. Well, I'll quiet up here. But if anybody wants to come up, you can come up and talk. Yeah. If you want to come up and talk, go ahead. I just don't know how good I'm gonna be if you want to lead me around and try to show me anything. It's kind of late and whatnot, but
Oh, I won't be long, promise.
all right,
I wanted to
shalom,
share that
brother.
with you. That one kind of flipped your brain in your head a little bit. Sorry.
Well, it just made me think about everything a little bit different,
It's
it's
always
all
gonna.
these little things that put everything together, and as soon as you put a little bit more to the story, it's like, you got to go through the whole story again and think about what it changes.
Oh yeah. I remember when it first hit me. I'm like, oh boy. Uh, yeah. You got to remember. There's going to be a. Crap. What is that called? After the 1,000 year millennial reign, Satan's going to be removed.
Yep.
So you
Yeah.
definitely want to know what that's about.
Yeah. I've been kind of curious because I haven't ever really found much on what happens when he's loosed from the pit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, is that 38? Is that where you're talking about? Is that
Mm-hmm.
okay?
If you read, hold on one second. My computer is being so slow right now, like really, really slow.
Nick was saying he's having an issue with that as well.
Okay.
Internet issues.
Go over to Revelation 20:7 and 8.
All right. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle, the number whom is as the sand of the sea.
Right.
So,
Now go read the first 2 verses of Ezekiel 38.
And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of a man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus saith my sovereign Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. All right, Meshech and Tubal. I've heard those before.
You need to look up the Hebrew words for them.
Okay, I can do that. I feel like you've shown me this before, but I didn't put it together yet or something. Maybe when I don't know what we would have been going over.
Maybe it was one of those days, those first 4 days I was trying to cram so much down your head.
That could have been. We went over a lot, and it was still a lot processed. I've used a lot of it actually, and it's helped me. But there was probably some things that I didn't register yet. But yeah, I think that'll lead me in enough direction there where I can figure it out from there. Thank you, brother.
No problem, bro.
Awesome.
But that's, if you want to know what happens after the 1,000-year millennial reign, right there you go, bro.
Okay. I have been curious about that, and I know other people have been as well that I know. So
it's a very prophetic, parabolic chapter. There's a lot to try to put together. You'll probably, if you really, really try to break it down, it'll probably take you about 4 or 5 hours just to break down that one chapter for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the way I like to do it. I got a day that's kind of easier tomorrow, so that'll be awesome. I got something to do now.
There you go.
Yeah.
I get to get from my from my new job that I'm working now.
Yeah.
I don't have to work so many hours a day, so I get to get home a little bit earlier, and I have a little bit more energy in me, and I'm not so tired when I come home, and I can actually enjoy a little bit of reading and not try to force myself to read when I'm like wanting to pass out on myself. So that's been really nice.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Big difference, because when you're trying to force it, it really is tough to take it in, and to have a loving heart in order to share it with people too. I know I get frustrated sometimes with my wife even when I'm tired and stuff, so I can totally relate.
If you read I think it's Ezekiel, hold on a second. It's Ezekiel 4. Remember when he talks about drink water by measure, drink barley and cakes and stuff, and you shall consume all those things by measure. That's all talking about wisdom by measurement. We don't get cram packed at once, brother. It's all in layers. So he gives it to us in our time when we're ready for it.
Yep, that's right. Ezekiel 4, 9, 10 is what you're talking about right there.
Yep, that's wisdom by measurement.
Yeah. And you're exactly right, because like when you're doing it by the end of that 4th or 5th day, whatever it was just like, I want more, but my brain was just mush. Like I couldn't I couldn't pull nothing out of it even. So I totally get what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. When you're fresh into this stuff, it can be pretty overwhelming because it's just like it becomes, so that's why even when I'm trying to bring people to a lot of this knowledge that I know that Father's given me, sorry, I have to be real careful. And I did it today with another individual, and I'm hoping that individual catches the things that I was trying to throw at him.
Mhm. Yeah, I had a customer actually that's kind of like a good friend of mine, and I spoke with him today about a lot of things that I've been learning. I haven't seen him for about a month, and it was good. I actually kind of intrigued him a little bit, enough to where he's gonna sit down and read a few chapters in scripture, and in a week or so, we're gonna sit down and talk about it again. So,
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. That's what we're supposed to do. We're not going to be worthless servants.
yep, and we can't work like we can't change their mind overnight. I mean, all we can do is plant seeds, right?
That's right. Plant seeds, and sometimes they take a while to grow, and they come back later, 2, 3 years later, and say, "Hey, man, sorry, bro. Sorry I was mean to you, but I went back and studied what you were trying to show me, and you were right." And it's not even that. It's not even about just being right. It's the fact that they came to truth. That's the blessing in disguise. Not the fact that they realized that you were right, but that's usually what comes out of their mouth once they realize that you were just trying to show them something the truth. So it all depends on how fast the seed grows. That's all. And many will be thrown by the wayside, and the fowls of the heavens will come and pick them up. It's very prophetic there, brother.
Yep, yep, very prophetic. I could see what you're throwing down, even just, I know I've never thought about it in that verse, but as soon as you brought it up, I was like, wow, yeah, I know exactly what he's saying now that he's saying it.
Yeah, remember when he said in the parables, he said those that were thrown by the wayside were the seed that was sown in their heart, and the devil came and took the word away from them. The devil
Hmm.
representing the fowls. Just saying.
Right, right. Wow. Yeah, and then some were grown in the thorns, right? And then,
Yep. Thorns
yep,
and briars came up and choked them. Also,
right,
the devil.
right, yep,
Remember, all the way back in Genesis, you shall till the ground, and thorns and briars shall it bring forth.
right. Wow, yeah, it all makes sense. That's
Starting to
crazy.
connect the dots now, huh?
Yep,
Remember, Yeshua said that every tree that my Father did not plant, it will be utterly rooted up and cast into the fire.
yep. Yeah, and I've heard something about like the original wording at the beginning of Genesis and all that. It more so means in the Hebrew like not like a new creation, but more so like a replenishing and like stuff like that, right? Or
Uh, I mean, yeah, yeah. Here, let me show you something.
yeah.
I'll give you a better way to understand that parable.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Go
Like
over
kind of
to
what's gonna happen in New Jerusalem, you know?
yes, it will. Um, it'll be a whole new heavens and earth.
Yep.
Go over to Mark 8:23 and 24.
You said Mark 28,
8:23 and 24.
8:23 and 24.
My headset's about to die.
Okay. And he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking.
Every tree that my heavenly Father did not plant will be uprooted and cast into the fire. Everybody says
Gotcha.
that doesn't.
Yep. That makes sense now.
Yep.
Totally. Yeah, it's all, yeah, I totally get it. Yep.
So who do you think the tree is in Ezekiel 31? And who do you think was the tree in the garden?
Well, that would be the fallen angel, of course.
That's right.
That gave the seed to Eve.
That's right.
Yeah. And then created more trees from the line of Cain.
Yep.
Yep.
See, now you're putting it together.
Yeah, I totally get it.
That's why it's called the Oaks of Bashan in Isaiah.
Okay. And that's why they talk about the different trees, the cedars and the cedars of
Yep.
Lebanon and
hmm
okay. I got it. Awesome. Yeah, there's still little things that I don't have all yet, but it's coming together piece by piece. I love it.
Here, I'll give you one more little precept here for you to put together.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Where is it? Go over to Isaiah 55:12.
All right. For ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands.
I didn't know trees could clap their hands.
Right? They don't even have hands.
Exactly. But when we try to show people this stuff, they're like, "You're delusional. They can't see it, bro."
And then what about mountains and hills singing?
That's the continents.
Right.
The mountains will break forth into singing, and all the trees that are in the field. What are in the field? The flowers,
Right.
grass. All flesh is grass.
Are they going to
All
be singing the song of Moses?
the tall trees will be. Yep.
Yeah.
And that one tree that all the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven came to flock under is going to be cut down.
Yeah.
Have a cast iron put over it.
Tree of knowledge.
Yep. Tree of good and evil.
Yeah. So it all started with the two trees in the Garden of Eden then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, puts it all in a little better perspective of everything.
Yep.
Maybe we'll make some cartoons like Straight as a Gate.
Gosh, man. Dude, that one they made with Popeye just really, really freaked me out, man.
Yeah.
Like, that one really creeped me out. That was really strange. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of like what they're trying to market to, but that's creepy.
They're trying to say if you don't lay with a woman, you don't hold the key of David, and you can't be a part of the 144,000. And then they promote to keep the 10 and eat clean and Sabbath is morning to morning. That should just make you question your Sabbath right there, just by hearing that craziness come from that video.
Yeah. Yeah, and then just like I mean, what are they trying to get to little kids or like why are they doing cartoon crap? Like just so strange.
No understanding in them. That's why.
Yep. Yeah, it is absolutely right.
They've been given over to their vile affections.
Yeah. And even this last one they made, it was just like so monotone. It was like AI speaking to somebody. Like AI's got more life than that thing had life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's how they are. That last video that we watched where that guy with the black hair, his eyes are just wandering back and forth. Like if you look at his eyes, he has eyes of a demon. They are just,
yeah.
they're not focused and they're searching.
Mm-hmm. I see. Trust me, I can tell. The eye is the gateway to someone's soul. Is the light,
Yep.
and they have no light in their eyes.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
can
That
see
pointed.
their intentions through their eyes.
Yep. D had shown me that video, and when I was watching it, I was like, the first thing I noticed was I was just looking at him. I'm like, do you see what he's doing with his eyes? Like, that is not normal. And she's like,
hmm
oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, it's be looking for that from now on.
Yep. You can see it in people's eyes. You can tell by their demeanor, by their eyes, how sincere someone is. You know, Yahweh gave us facial expressions for a reason. So
hmm
yeah, you can definitely tell by somebody's eyes where their thought process is and where their mindset is. And I know exactly where their mindset is. They want to be rulers. They want to rule. They want to be an authority. They want to control. They don't want to be servants.
Yep. Yeah, and I think a lot of them were kids that got picked on in high school.
I was a kid that got picked on in high school. It's still no excuse. It's no, they
No,
were
it's
more
not.
like they were more likely people who got fed silver spoons in their mouth and never had to want for nothing growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be too. Yeah. Because I was a kid that got picked on too. Like up until third grade, it was pretty bad. Um, but yeah, you might be right about that. I always think that, they were probably like kids that are picked on that try to rise into power, but usually it's probably the bullies that have just power trip control things, and haven't
Yeah.
lost it. So,
Yeah,
um,
and they got tons of thorns in their congregation too. They don't even realize it. That's part of their problem. They're not list. They're being partial to the Torah, and they're allowing thorns to grow in their gardens, and that's not good.
yeah, it'll choke them out.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're like inviting it. They're trying to play Babel.
Oh yeah, they want as many people in as they can get. They don't care who it is. They'll try to fix you once you're in there. You
Yep.
know, that's the whole thing.
We'll just cram this down your throat, and you just repeat after us.
Yep. Yep.
I remember the first time they invited me to a group, and I went in there and started talking to them. I was trying to warn them of what was coming, and there was like 15 or 20 of them in there, and it was on a Facebook Messenger group, and they all didn't say a word. And I was like, "Are you guys okay?" And they're like, "We have to take this up with our elders." I said, "Oh hell, what the hell did I just get myself into?"
Yeah, you might as well have gone to church on Sunday.
I'm serious. I was a part of one of their Facebook groups, and then they said, "We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about the Sabbath." I said, "Oh God, nope, nope. I'm out. See ya. I know who you are. I,
Yep. Oh man, it's
why do
funny.
you believe the Why do you believe the Sabbath is eating to eat?" That's immediately what they start pressing me with. And
Yeah.
I was in there. I wasn't talking about the commandments or nothing. I just wanted to hop in there, show them some very powerful stuff that's going on in the system, trying to warn people, blow the shofar. And they seemed like they had a bit of knowledge and understanding. And I let them invite me in there, and I started showing them all the stuff, and they just looked at me like a deer in headlights, and told me they needed to take it up with their elders. And I said, "Oh, okay. No, that's okay. I'm gonna leave." And they're like, "Hey, don't aren't you one of those guys that believe in evening to evening Sabbath?" I said, "Yeah, because that's what Scripture says." And then like all of them jumped on me like a damn like the only way I can describe it is like from Toy Story when Woody went into the that gumball machine, or no, the claw machine, and all of them were hopping. you know
Yeah. That's a great
what
analogy.
that's kind of how I felt. I had to get out of there immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, but yeah, it's
Claw. And
that
and 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 I'm sorry, Mark is the claw. The claw. He
yeah.
knows all. Yeah. It
Oh,
says
it's
who stays and who goes.
oh, that's so good. Oh
Sorry, I'm
man,
sorry. I'm
that's
sorry.
perfect.
But
Oh,
I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. I felt like I was in that situation. Like, oh, I need to get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
What did I just walk myself into?
It's funny that you say that because they did the same thing about like they got to check with their elders. It's like, what? Why are you even here debating with me then if you don't know what you're talking about? Like,
Hmm.
and I thought I knew what I was talking about, but I've come to learn that, I was I was in the ballpark, but I still had a lot to learn. So, um, I can't imagine, if I'm able to debate with them, they are very far gone from the truth.
Here's here's the thing. Here's how I know they're not listening. Okay, every single video they make about us, they say we teach to keep the feast days. After I've made multiple videos saying immediately in the beginning of the video that we don't teach to keep the feast days because we're not in the land. And yet every time they make a video, you teach people to keep the feast. They just don't flip and listen at
Yeah.
all. They don't. They don't hear a word you're saying.
Well, the reason is because what we're preaching is unrebukable. I mean, you get the Christians that come in that are like, oh, this and that, but that's just false doctrine. But if you're looking for the truth, what we're preaching is pretty unrebukable. I mean, that's the bottom line. So they got to come up with something that's fake, or something that's false so they can have something.
I don't know. I don't think the parrots actually read the Bible at all.
No, no, absolutely not. They don't. They've heard what everyone else says, and I've actually gotten into it with that Yaz Forever,
Hmm.
because he's the one that brought me in, and I got his number and whatever, and we were chatting, and then like I saw some things, and I talked to him. I'm like, hey man, do you realize that this is happening, and like they're doing this, and they teach this, and then he would like go right, oh well, I got to talk to the elders, blah blah blah, but or you should talk to the elder or something like that, and it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's I don't remember where I was going with that, but that one guy, yeah, I forgot what we were talking about.
It's okay. I have a friend that had one of them living with that individual, my friend,
Okay. Yeah.
and they told me that he he would just lay on the couch all day and listen to them all day long. Never pick up his Bible, not once.
Really? Wow.
All day long, every single day. Never picking up the Bible. That's how I know. I've got witnesses that's witnessed it.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I'd ask him questions, and that's all he'd say is like I'd have to go and ask the elder. Like he wouldn't ever come back with scripture or anything or like talk about it. So yeah,
And
that's how I can know that you're exactly right about what you just said about that.
hmm and every woman proves them wrong. Oh hell, they really get bent out of shape. The women here are wiser than them because they don't even read.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
I've come to learn that too.
so that's like their defense mechanism is just immediately call them a Jezebel because the women, that I associate myself with will shut one of them down in a heartbeat, and
Yeah,
they can't stand it. You have a Jezebel spirit. You're stupid, and like, come on, dude.
yeah, yeah. That's
Disgusting.
that's high school stuff right there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
except for high school kids don't know to call it Jezebel. That's the only difference.
It's
Oh,
crazy,
fun.
dude.
It is
Well,
crazy.
I don't want to hold you up any longer, bro. Um, if you want, I was thinking about doing where me and you both together can just start in Jeremiah and just start going through Jeremiah, and we'll pick it apart. And if you want to
Yeah.
go over Ezekiel, me and you, we can do this. Like, I don't know if you're down for it. I'll check with you. You can let me know. We can go over this every night and just start going through every chapter of the prophets and breaking it down. I don't know if you would be interested in doing that, but
Yeah, I sure would. I don't know what time works for you, but tomorrow I'm pretty much free anytime this week, every night. So whatever works for you, I'll just make sure I'm ready then.
Yeah. What time is it there?
I'm Mountain Time, so I think I'm like 2 hours before you.
So it's 9:47.
10:47.
Oh, it's 10.
10:47. Yeah.
So you're an hour before me. It's 11:47 here where
Okay.
so yeah, so probably it would be 8 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock your time.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, maybe a little bit later, half an hour. It all depends on what I'm doing, but I'll definitely get with you and let you know.
All right. Well, I'm going to be reading Ezekiel tomorrow, so if you want to retouch on that, or do you think I should do Jeremiah first?
Um, let's do Jeremiah. It talks about the Northern Army a lot, and I mean it does in Ezekiel as well, but it really gets in depth on the Northern Army in the book of Jeremiah because that was the time when Nebuchadnezzar, did his thing when Assyria took over. So everything that in that time is what we're going to be witnessing in this time. So
Start right at the beginning, or
yeah, we can start at the beginning if you want.
okay, sounds good. I will. I will do my reading from there then. So that's amazing because that's actually where I directed my friend. He's a lot more versed than I expected. Like when I was talking to him about who the children of Israel were and stuff, he's like, "Oh yeah, well the only people that can," or he's like, "When what's one other thing?" He said blushing, and
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, you already know."
yeah,
So
yeah. It's a gospel that's spreading to the four corners of the earth. Israel's
right,
got to wake up. Israel's got to realize who they are. So some will hear it, and some will start to move, and some will just fall away. A lot of people are going. Many more are going to fall away than those that are going to actually make it to see the second Exodus.
yeah,
So there are plenty of our brothers and sisters who are waking up, realizing who they are, and it's just like flat Earth. You know,
yeah,
how many people are that got into that and just cannot get out of it or move forward? You know what I mean?
right, right,
It's the
yeah,
same principle. It's the same principle. These people are waking up, realizing who they are, and then they're going to Google for all their answers, and they're thinking here in America is the true Jerusalem and all kinds of crap. They're not going into the scripture. They're going into vain imaginations off the internet, and that's how people fall away.
yep, yep. That's exactly right. So I led him to Jeremiah and Ezekiel and then second Esdras. So I'm told him, that'll show you a lot about what's happening right now. So I hope I led him in the right direction from what I've been learning. But um, he's kind of a meteor guy. Like you and him would actually be good to talk like between. I think he would really enjoy talking with you is what I should say, but he's like old. He doesn't even have Wi-Fi at his house. Like he doesn't even get on the internet. He's straight up, if you don't talk to him on the phone or in person, you're not talking to him. So
So, uh, hey,
huh?
I said there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. He's, if stuff goes to heck, he's going to be one of my number one guys that I'll be in very close contact with. Like he's getting hundreds of chickens, and we're going to be butchering them in the fall. So,
Oh, nice,
yep,
very nice.
yep.
All
So,
right. Well, I won't hold you up any longer, bro. It's getting late
uh,
here too. So, I love you, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow sometime.
yes, I'll be here, and I love you too, brother. You sleep well, and have a good day tomorrow. And everybody else that's on here, thank you for being here, and we'll let you all know what we plan and get ready for tomorrow, like what time and everything. So, thank you very much, and we're all gonna go to bed.
Yep.
Love
Good
y'all.
night. Love
Good
y'all.
night.